Wait.
Okay, well, it's a bit too late for the wait
Wait,
now.
What
What a brilliant start.
Wait, guys.
What a brilliant start. Welcome back, Quackcast. Today is going to be a little different. We have someone filling in for our good friend Azure. Special guest today, Milosis.
Speak for yourself.
Hey.
Okay. And then we also are joined by the usual two goons of Hawk and now Expert.
Well,
Usual.
You're
Let's
you're
go.
adopted now. It's
Oh,
two
is
in
this
a
a
row.
thing?
It's like basically a usual thing now. The Piper's Cast dream has been realized. Truly.
Thank you.
At last, Milo, you get to get what you want now.
Let's go. Finally.
All right. So that we're not pulling a repeat of last week. Let's swiftly try to move through everything in a timely manner. So first set is gonna be Swarm versus Foreman. Swarm take this 2-0. Expert, my good friend, my chummiest pal. Thoughts on this set, if you want to look through that right quick.
Yeah, I'm fine. Hold on.
It's the most recent
Which
one.
Well, I didn't have the screenshots pulled up,
Well,
and now they're not loading.
Eat.
Okay.
fine. I'll start
I
it.
found it.
Yeah, there
You want me to start?
No,
I got it.
I think Exter's got it.
We got
though.
it.
Holy shit! He went 23.
Dude,
Oh my god!
Record time right there.
This Justin Who character is him. There's no other way to say. Oh my lord!
Oh my lord.
He just pooped all over him.
So Hawk, analysis. Now that we got an honest expert reaction, analysis of
Yes.
the set.
So my analysis is we finally got what we're talking about. We finally got the Burger Boy Kaizo kind of duo back together. Finally play their first set. I think this is the first one they played.
Together.
But even though the narrative was in their favor that they finally reunite, pick up some dubs, it seems like Justin Who had some other plans. As you see, did fairly all right in game one. Bringing out the Poseidon jungle, which is a good pick, especially have a lot of kind of leaps, a lot of easy to kill targets, very easy to blow up frontline. But then decided in game two, even more leaps on
Time.
everybody except for Achilles, and decided to pick a Willish and drop 22 kills and absolutely demolished the hopes and dreams of Kaizo and Burger Boy.
So this is the signature Justin Who bomb. He will just drop this just casually. There's no other player that I reliably expect to just drop an absolute like nuclear warhead as much as Justin Who does. Like, this guy was doing it last season as well. I'm not like, this is not surprising. I'm surprised by how like lopsided game 2 was, especially because like it was, both games looked to be short. Like, they were just short games, and it just didn't really look like the Foremen were able to really claw their way into this a whole lot. I don't know. Now that we've gotten your honest reaction out of the way, Expert, any more deep dive stuff that you can kind of insight you can give us here?
No, not really.
Not
I mean,
really.
22 and 3 is kind of insane. Smith, their ADC kind of played well too.
Slayer,
I'll give him credit.
Slayer's always consistent. He's always gonna hold it down. But I mean, it may seem like we're just talking about the Justin Who show, but that's kind of what this set looked like. I mean, you just can't have a performance like that and expect us not to just point out, hey, that guy dropped 22 and like, that guy had a 30 out of 39 KP, and like that's just disgusting. On to our second set. We have Revenants versus Gekukujo. Revenants take this 2-0. This set looked to be a lot closer of a set. Both games actually dragging out a bit longer than the previous set we just talked about. Hawk, do you want to give us any insight, any ball knowledge that you can gather?
Yeah. Well, considering I think Destroyer really kind of came out and did destroy things. I think right now probably the top mid in the league. But I mean, this Revenants team really seems to be clicking, especially their backline. I mean, you're dropping 44k on your ADC and 35k from your mid who's playing Vulcan. And then just in general, I think they're clicking very well.
Mhm.
Better than probably any backline in Abyss right now. So I just think this Revenants team came out really strong and is playing strong together compared to kind of all the other teams right now.
Yeah, just over like effective having a really insane game one. Same with Bean Soup on this Raijin solo. Just piloted it very well. Calculator kind of ate the short end of the stick for the early game of game one, but managed to kind of put it all together just in time. Like you highlighted, Destroyer and was just doing Destroyer things. He was playing well, but just unfortunately not quite, just not quite enough to beat the Bean Soup and the boys. Expert, any thoughts, comments, or concerns?
Honestly, I think it was a little bit of a draft diff
Mhm.
coming out of the Banshees. I think just having that triple damage deal or quad damage deal with Fiend, that's just really insane.
Yeah.
And I think that got him game one. And looks to me like just game two was just they kind of just won. Like they just kind of ran.
They
them
kind of just.
like, I know the KDA doesn't look as good, but like it did not look to me like their damage dealers were very threat in that game.
Yeah,
That's just my look.
I mean, when your backline does die like 15 times, which is only one more than the opposing team's backline, but like it's Raijin Hachi versus like CERN Vulcan. I feel like one of those backlines should
Okay,
die.
but look at the player damage though.
I know exactly, like
It was a 24k damage.
exactly. Like that's what I'm kind of pointing out. I feel like this backline from Geku Kujo game 2 should have been able to pour out a lot more damage, so that's kind of why I'm surprised, especially with how unsafe that this Revenant's backline can be at times in game 2. But I mean, they just, like you said, they just won. They just did it. All right, on to Deep Sea. Milo, you get to actually speak now because first we're gonna
Oh, hey.
Yeah, you get to speak.
Yay.
First we're gonna talk about your set. So as the
Oh,
resident
man.
Yanyaters,
Yeah. Oh,
No.
man.
what was your kind of mindset going into the set specifically up against, Deathly and the guys? Your former teammate Thickest Kayak as well.
And Caleb.
And
Don't
Caleb.
forget the boy.
Uh,
Honestly, so I kind of game planned this. I knew their backline would kind of be on an island today, or that game, because it's Dallo. Dallo's not known for healing that crazily.
He's
He'll
not
just
known
run
to-
us down
for-
as a backliner.
He's not really known for sticking around to see his backline flourish.
No, he's normally the one dishing out the damage, and so we kind of just played around that. I had Expert do whatever he wanted. Adora and then did the same thing, and then Kriya and I just played,
Yeah,
those gods.
They had a kind of
Kriya is nasty.
kind of nasty set, especially game one. I mean, let's hear it from the man himself, Expert. How did it feel playing solo in 2 games in a row?
Well, it felt pretty easy. I'm not even gonna lie. It
Thank
felt
you,
quite
Expert.
easy. Wasn't even close. When I hear a little birdie before a set that definitely Shriek's afraid to play against me, it was over. It was so free.
Is that true?
That was, yes.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, but oh man, I forgot what I was gonna say. Oh yes, I'll just take this time where I have speaking privileges and apologize to my team for playing Hercules. I pushed the Hades ult up in 4 of them.
Oh, you're the worst.
We got
That was
quadra kills.
payback.
You
It
do
was
not
payback,
deserve to win that.
It was payback.
There's
'cause
another time I
owned
pushed
him.
the Kuzenbo ult up into a Oleron. My Oleron died. I don't think I'm doing to play
I'm
Hercules
pretty sure I've
anymore.
done that to Hawk like 2 times, like a couple seasons ago. So it's just sometimes you're just hitting stuff, and sometimes your teammates.
Yeah, like
your
if you're
teammates
just
are
hitting
in the
something, like, I'm
way,
not gonna
dude.
miss
Like
off of it.
your teammates are just sometimes
Like
just
I'm
out
just
of
dealing
position.
myself. My team would
Exactly.
react.
Like, or you're just setting up perfectly, and like it's just unfortunate that your team just got dove on.
I wish I just had a little more damage.
Yeah, just that was it. Hawk, former deep sea player, do you want to give us a non-Piper's insight on what you kind of?
Despite the Pipers being a very good team, my biggest takeaway from this set, I think, is that I feel like the Tailed Beasts on paper, from what we were saying, should be a really good roster. You know, it really sucks that they don't have their jungler, you know, because he does get work diffed
Yeah, Cyrus.
more than once. But it just feels like this roster, like, you know, another one I'll probably talk about, just isn't clicking very well. Because on paper, they have really good players in each role, but unfortunately, it doesn't seem to be translating into gameplay as they kind of they lose their, you know, third set in a row.
Second set.
Second set, you're right. Second
This is
set
week
is
two.
week 2.
if they
I was
played the
predicting the
Phantom
future.
third match, I might be scared. I'm scared of
Predicting the future.
But yeah, it's 100% agree. I'm hoping that this is just like kind of like early season kind of woes. You know, week 1 they didn't have their full roster. Week 2 they're going up against a Hyper's team that is kind of clicking. So I'm hoping that maybe next week they find a lot more luck. Hoping and praying. But on to our next set. One that was casted. Twitch.tv/Quackcast League. There we go. Yeah, did the plug thing. We have Helots versus Journeyman. Journeyman take the set 2-0. Milo, we'll start with you once again. What was your insight going into the set? What was your opinion on both of these teams going into it, as seeing as they both lost their week 1 matchups?
So, the Journeyman looked very competitive week 1 against the Fiends, and the Fiends I kind of deem as like the top like 2-3 teams in the league right now, and so they were pretty competitive. And then the Helots losing to Gecko Kujo 2-0 convincingly like that was not something I expected. So this week, like coming into this week, I expected the Journeyman to kind of run away with it, and I respectfully don't think the Helots draft did any favors to stop that from happening.
So, being there in the moment, I was questioning a Fafnir top 2. I really was. The top 2 Fafnir pick was a question mark in my brain. And that was a question mark that did not really get answered as the rest of the game went on. I mean, Indigo and Omni Indigo and Kai just did so much on this dive. Like, they were, like, game 1, poor Dressy was just getting hate crimed. Like, he was just getting ran at just continually. Just off cooldown. And Kai and Indigo, like, just fried in the back line. Enough gave them enough time for Omni to just like clean up all these fights. And Dressy did like so much damage going down. Like, Guy did 30k damage while getting dove on every single fight. And then game 2 was kind of just game 1, but now Dressy got to play the game. Dressy just kind of, not gonna say it, but I am gonna say it. He just kind of diffed Super Chef in every way possible. Like, I mean, 11-1 and 2, 11-1 and 12 Raijin versus the 0-9 and 0 Agni is a bit of a yikers moment.
I see a 20k damage difference between the two players.
So yeah,
in that game too.
Oh my lord,
that is tough.
That is so
tough.
Especially when Dressy, I'm gonna say only 31k. This was like a 25-minute game, so like 31k is kind of huge. But I mean, 31k compared to 11k is a huge difference.
Yeah,
Kind of massive.
the production there
like,
is
kind of not equal footing. Especially when the next closest person to Dressy is like 25k, and the next closest after that is like 17. So like,
yeah,
Dressy's just kind of hitting people. Expert, what were your thoughts after seeing Omni Dressy just do their thing?
I'm absolutely not shocked that Omni is doing well. But Dressy is honestly completely shocking. They walked away with only 1 death in a game.
Especially
the jumping off cooldown.
Especially like on the I was gonna say the jumping on cooldown god. Like, he only dies 1 time. But like, Omni and Doomsauce are like literally rotating around him so well. Like, they were just orbiting around Dressy. Like, if Dressy was going somewhere, those two were going somewhere. If, like, it just did not matter. But yeah, Journeyman, just talk. What were your insights?
Well, besides the fact that I think that Omni and Drezzy are clicking probably more than any backline right now. Kind of just we'll see, once matchups go on. But I think, like I said before, I think this Hellas roster
Mhm.
seems really good on paper, but is not meshing well. And I think there's some things they need to figure out.
Yeah.
Especially also dropping their second set in a
There
row.
we go.
Kind of the same as the tailed beast.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if something's just not clicking, they're not meshing well,
Yeah.
or whatever. But I just think this, unfortunately, it's sad to see the Helots, dropping another set.
Yeah, I unlike the tailed beast, I can't. My brain can't really give them just like a huge like leeway excuse. Like they haven't had like like when our starters aren't showing up like tailed beasts have. They've kind of just like lost. Like they're just kind of losing, which is just kind of unfortunate. I'm hoping that this is just like early season woes, like it's just it'll get better. But I mean, I don't know if this schedule gets easier for them as like the season progresses. But on to our only FF. I think this is our first FF the entire season. Week 2, we did it. Race FF to Ono Hote. And they get it. I'm trying. 1 week I'll get that right. 1 week. 1 week I will get that right. Not this week though. Yeah. Um Game Changers team. They are now tied for that first place spot off of an FF. Azure gets to keep the fraud allegations away from him just the time being. Or would you disagree with that, expert?
Yeah, no, he's never gonna beat him.
He's never.
He's never
I
gonna
thought he beat
defend
him
himself.
last week though.
No, that was actually a lie.
That
Then
was
he
a-
didn't show up for my
that
cost
was
set,
a
and I was
lie.
kind of over it.
You had some time to reflect on it. You were like, man, maybe the fraud
Yeah,
allegations like they just can't
I'm
be
getting really
beat.
sick of lagging in all my games and then not showing up. It's getting really insane.
But on to our final deep sea set. We have our only 2-1 of deep sea. We have a 2-1 between the chefs and the tyrants. Hawk.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to me a bit. Talk to me about thoughts on this set specifically.
Well, considering that this was the chef's first set
Mm-hmm.
so far, considering they had a bye week 1,
Mm-hmm.
I think they came out very strong against a team that also came out pretty strong and surprised us, which is the Tyrants.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really surprised with Simon's Simon in the jungle. 'Cause
Mm-hmm.
that's not who I thought was going to be playing jungle. But I was really impressed, mainly not game 2, but definitely game 1 and game 3, probably out of anything. And I think that from what I've told, this set was really, really close.
Mm-hmm.
And all it did was come down to like one mistake on the Tyrant side. So I wouldn't really take anything from this loss as like someone's better than the other. It's just from what I was told from Narwhal that this just came down to one mistake late game. And unfortunately that can cost you games.
Mm-hmm. Milo, you're kind of you have some inside ball knowledge speaking with 12-inch and Narwhal on a pretty consistent basis. Do you have any further insight on this set from maybe?
So we know that Slick's monitor was broken
Mm-hmm.
after game
I
1.
forgot. I should have said
He played on
something.
the super stretch monitor.
The super stretch
Uh,
mod. I love that screenshot so much. It's
The
such a
headache gif.
goofy. It's such a goofy screenshot.
Oops. And yeah, so he's playing on the super stretch monitor game 1, and then they seem to have lost that game, and he said, "I've had enough." And then they shipped in elite sniper into the solo lane. Um, Clark kind of had a game, or Poyo.
But
He
yeah,
kind of had a game or he kind of had a set, honestly,
for the
excluding
well
the
time.
game 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, he looks pretty good.
I mean, we were
Um,
highlighting Poyo, at like in the beginning of the season as someone who on this Titans team should be having a lot more of those pop off moments.
Yeah, he did look pretty good, even though they did lose. He looked like the shining light in this set, honestly, for them. So it was still competitive. It was 2-1, and the games, as Narwhal said and you said, they were close. Like it was down to just one mistake from either team winning or losing the set, losing the games.
Uh,
So
yeah. Expert, any further insight from you?
Yeah, I think watching the games, like when they were going down, I was really impressed with Sepper and Siemens teamwork. I mean, that's a weird combo. You wouldn't think ADC and jungle interact a lot, but
Yeah.
in this meta where you're kind of just sitting on shield camps, like
Mhm.
that's really amazing to see out of this team. The fact that they have one of the best jungles and one of the best ADCs.
Mhm.
I think if they can keep playing through that, they'll actually be a like scary team that can actually compete with higher end teams like myself and like the tailed beasts.
So another thing I wanted to ask you is in your own personal experience, how many games are you giving Simon Kama?
0.
0.
Not a single one.
I'm hoping that this set maybe is that little bit of a notice that maybe Simon doesn't get care on for the rest of the season. That 13-0 and 10 slash line, that's 23 out of 26 KP. That guy's everywhere. Like a part of everything. And Simon just has like such a consistent performance on this god consistently. Same thing with like with Sepper on her. Like Sepper just gets aggressive. Like that guy will just run at you. And it doesn't matter. Like he just jumps in, and it looks like the most frustrating thing to play against because it always just looks like Sepper's just better. And it's crazy. But overall, that's our deep sea stuff. Shallow's time. As we move on to Fledglings versus Nagatsune. Nagatsune get the 2-1. Hawk, my good friend, do you want to give us a little bit of insight on what happened in this set?
Yeah. Well, first of all, having Timbo not on the side, I think he got schedule diffed.
Mhm.
Had something going on the side of the Nagasune. I think the Nagasune really impressed me coming out, as strong as they did. Obviously, you can kind of say the same thing about the side of the Fledglings where they didn't have Chase 1 because he also got schedule diffed.
Mhm.
But other than that, I think kind of this is the same thing as the kind of Tyrant set where I thought these games were really, really close watching them. And especially game 3 kind of just came down to kind of a mistake on the side of the Fledglings, which ended up costing them the set. But overall, a really competitive, a really good set to watch.